right, in today's episode of Torturing Yourself in a Different Way, I'm just kidding, welcome back to the Road to Scratch. I wanted to share with everyone a swing key that's starting to really help me get better at the whole argument with shallowing the club. And I want to talk about what shallowing the club actually is and what the real reason behind why most people can't actually get into a position where the club is shallowing or getting back into a plane to hit the ball at impact correctly. And the two things we're going to talk about. You've probably heard this before on the internet, and I have talked about it as well. But in order to compress the ball with an iron, two things have to happen. You have to have momentum moving down through the ball, club face has to be square, and you have to have shaft lean, which means the shaft or the butt of the club is going to be ahead of the ball at impact. And what that does is it actually shuts down the club face a bit. This is why pros, one of the main reasons pros hit the ball so much further than most amateurs is because they are very, very good at getting that lean with an iron, compressing the ball correctly, and that loft of the club is shutting down through impact, which is actually squaring the club face and hitting it on line. Whereas most amateurs, through impact, for one reason or other, have to end up squaring the club face by flipping it with their hands, which means they have to open up the club face to shut it down. Sometimes the club is parallel to the ball. Sometimes that butt of the club is behind the ball at impact, which makes the ball go a lot higher with less compression on the ball and a much, much shorter ball flight, okay? So the reason we talk about shallowing the club, really all that means is the club from the top of the swing in a position where it's pointing at the target has to come down on that same path as your body rotates, so you're at impact with the club, the butt of the club ahead of the ball, compressing the ball, shutting down the face, and sending on the correct trajectory at the target. Why can't you shallow the club? Inability to shallow the club comes from two things. One, standing up through impact, which most amateurs tend to do for one reason or another. Pardon the airplane. When you're standing up through impact, it's usually because your club is across the line. Or the other thing we're going to talk about that I've discovered is this pulling the chain effect that has been talked about a lot, even with Sergio Garcia.
You know, a lot of amateurs from here, they go this way.
Yeah.
So what I always try to tell them is feel like you're pulling a chain or a bell down. So when you get here, your first move, instead of shoulders and kind of everything going forward, should be down.
Yeah.
So you pull down, and then you from here, then you can get in that motion that we were talking earlier.
Mm-hmm. And when you pull down, and you're actually pulling down, what ends up happening is you're pulling the club across the line, or you're pulling it down very, very steeply. So the club coming down very steeply means this butt of the club is going to be inside the ball on the downswing, which is a fault I've had for a long, long time and what I've been working on. So if I'm pulling the club down from here, I pull it, that butt of the club is inside the ball. We need to have that butt of the club on that plane pointing at the ball as we rotate through the swing to compress the ball, shaft lean at impact. Shallowing the club is simply just letting this right hand fall and drop before we initiate the downswing. So when you take the club back, what I'm working on too is I'm dropping my right hand just a smidge, and then I'm going to turn through the ball. That gets everything on plane, shaft lean at impact. I'm hitting it right at the target. That's all shallowing the club actually is. We don't need to worry about all this other stuff where we're dropping our hands to our pocket and trying to turn 42 different motions. If you take the club back to here, let your right hand fall, almost like you're trying to hold a platter, and then go ahead and turn through the ball all the way. Body rotation through the ball. You have shallowed the club. You will get your shaft lean. You'll be hitting the ball at the target, and you'll have much more consistency and much more consistent strike on the ball. There's no need to work on bowing the wrist, dropping your hands, doing all of this other stuff, because if you can't shallow the club, it's because of those things. You're either pulling the chain down, which is actually an incorrect description of what to do with the club. That club needs to fall this way. So now it's on plane. to rotate through the ball. If you pull down, you're going to end up pulling down, your wrist is going to cup, and you're going to be pointing that butt of the club inside the ball, and you're going to come down very steeply, which means the only way to correct that and square the club face is to stand up and flip the hands. Let's try a couple. So again, all I'm really thinking about doing is taking my club back wide to the top, letting my hand drop, which is actually going to create that lag everybody's trying to get to as well. Don't worry about lag. Drop my hand, rotate through the ball. Quote unquote, shallow the club if you do that. This will also help with your timing. It'll also help from the initiation of the downswing, where you don't get quick, where you try and whip the club back. Everything will be in sequence at that point if you do it correctly. That ball might have had a little crack in it and it went two different directions. There and there is shallowing the club.